Hello, everyone. I wanted to talk about this movie I saw earlier today called The Substance. Now, this is directed by a writer director named Coraline Fargett, I believe is how you pronounce her name. She's only made one movie previous to this, The Revenge, or it's just Revenge, which I haven't seen. I'm definitely going to watch it after watching this. I've heard good things about it, got great reviews. And this film actually, uh, well, it was in competition for the Palme d'Or at Cannes, and it ended up winning Best Screenplay, which I think is very much deserved, and it should have won more stuff than that. Spoilers. Yeah, I'm just gonna come out and say this is my favorite film so far this year. No other film this year has affected me as deeply as this one. I will also say I would recommend this movie to very few people. I would go as far as to say that most people would not like this movie. It's very extreme. It's gross. It's intense. It's body horror. And it goes full out. And it's disgusting and it makes you cringe. But for me anyway, there was this element of like exhilaration to it. Like I just couldn't believe what I was watching. And I think that's just, I was trying to figure out why it excited me so much instead of just, flat out horrifying me. And I think it's just because it's such a big swing and everybody fucking nails it. You know, First of all, it's a beautifully directed movie. The cinematography in it is gorgeous. There's so many images in this movie that are just like so striking, and it's the makeup work in this is incredible. There's obviously some CGI going on here, but it looks great, and there's a lot of practical stuff too, a lot of practical makeup effects, and they look like astounding. Like if there was any justice, this would win Best Makeup at the Oscars next year. It probably won't even be nominated, but it should win. It's ridiculous the work they did on this. And then the actors, Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, and Dennis Quaid, they all completely just throw themselves into this. They're all completely fearless. They had to go really far for this movie, and they totally invested in it. If any of them had like shrunk from it and been like, "That's too far," I don't want to look, bad or gross or strange or anything like that. It wouldn't have worked. It required complete investment from these people, and they gave it. And this is easily the performance of Demi Moore's career. It's the best performance I've ever seen her give, and I think it's probably the best performance she ever will give. We'll see, but roles this special just don't come around all that often, if ever, for a lot of actors. And Dennis Quaid in this, just absolutely no vanity at all. He's like disgusting in this movie. He's repulsive, just like the way he acts, but also just like physically. They shoot him in a lot of like kind of like extreme like close-ups and stuff, and there's a scene where he's eating shrimp and it's fucking disgusting. And Margaret Qualley is like exceptional in this, and she was great earlier this year in Kinds of Kindness too. But all of them just just like left it all out there, and just it was inspiring to me to see all of these great artists coming together and investing so heavily in such an insane and ridiculous movie. Like there were multiple times during this movie where I was like, that's the height of it. That's as insane as things are going to get, and then it gets more insane until you're left with a final scene that I think is as insane a point to reach as this premise could have possibly reached. You know, I kind of guarantee that. Like the last 15, 20 minutes of this movie, you try to figure out a way this could have been more ridiculous and otherworldly. Like, it was to the point where I walked out of the theater and it was just like, it felt weird to be in the real world. I had invested so much in this story and in this woman's struggle, that it felt surreal for to walk outside and just to have everything be normal again. It's one of those movies that like it comes home with you, and you keep thinking about it. It's just in your brain now, and it can never leave. And so it's about this woman. Um, she used to host an aerobics show, and she used to be like a very, very popular star. And she's getting older, and she's still like very beautiful, but like she doesn't look like like she did 30 years prior. And so Hollywood, being such an image obsessed industry, they're like, we need to get her out of here and bring the next like young woman in here to take over the reins. And so this the substance is this mysterious goo that you can inject in something, and it'll make it a copy of it. It'll use the DNA of the thing you injected into to make a copy. So Demi Moore, she does this, and she basically creates a younger version of herself, who's played by Margaret Qualley, who has everything that she used to have. She's young. She's got back the body that she'd lost, and she's desired by just men in general, but just men in the industry too, who are just like just want to exploit her, basically. I mean, it's I don't know what it would be like to watch this movie as a woman, obviously, because I'm not a woman. But I will say there's a lot of objectification in like the first half of this movie, like a lot of like shots of body parts and stuff, and like a lot of over sexualization, and it's very much intentional, and it's absolutely necessary to drive the point of the movie home, because you're going to see about as the film goes on, it's going to take that earlier imagery and twist it and turn it against you. you know yeah, and it's obviously a film about unrealistic body image standards and beauty standards in Hollywood, and how women in that industry are just expected to have like these ethereally good looks, like these almost alien good looks. They can't allow themselves to be flawed, really. And that a lot of women see that unrealistic beauty standard and try to emulate it, and it's not realistic. People get older, people's bodies change. And so it's about trying to cling to youth and beauty above all else, sacrificing everything else, and what that leads to. you know and it just gets, no matter how nuts you think this is going to be, I promise you it's going to be considerably more nuts than you're expecting. Like, where this goes, like, no spoilers, but I was like stunned by this movie, by like the last half hour of this movie, by how much it just kept escalating more and more and more. And I do think, the stuff that happens near the end of this movie will lose people, because, it's a really big swing. It's really over the top. And I would say the tone near the end of the film is quite different from the tone near the beginning of the film. I mean, it starts out as kind of this kind of icy horror film, and then it kind of devolves almost into something that's, pulpier and, kind of more effects driven and just more insane. Uh, so I would say, this movie is going to gross you out. There are images in this that are really haunting and unpleasant, and you got to be prepared for that. Like, if you can't handle body horror and gross out stuff, you're not going to like this movie. And also, if you're not willing to go with the director earlier in the film, when it's very vapid and image focused, you have to trust that this is going to pay off, and this is going to go somewhere, and it's going to make a point, that's important to make, you know. So you got to go with it. You got to trust this director, and I mean, it is a female director, which helps. When you're seeing all of this objectification going on, know that there is a woman behind the camera. Maybe not literally, but there's a woman steering the ship. And she's doing it for a reason, and that's all I'll say. But this movie, the acting in it is stunning. The cinematography in it's gorgeous. The music is, really like keeps you on edge and contributes to that mood, and just it blends tones just masterfully. Like it's really unpleasant and really intense, but it's also, my dog is barking. It's also funny and satirical too at times. It's just it's really something special, and this has been an incredible year for horror movies. My second favorite movie of the year, I would say, was this film, Cuckoo, which was also a really crazy out there horror movie. But I think this is even better. I think this is, so far for me, the film of the year. And, I'm sure something will probably come along and beat it. But at the same time, it's going to be a tall order because this is exceptional. So if you can handle it, go see it. It's not for everybody. It's not for most people. It's maybe not for you. But if you think you might like it, I urge you to give it a try. That's it. Bye.